Today for Ethereum and the Bitcoin price, when the world's biggest investment firm BlackRock tells you that we're about to head into a recession, they're going short on the market and they're about to create a huge dump towards the downside. We have not seen the bottom for crypto yet, guys, and we really need to get in and check out what's going on. So what we can see right now is BlackRock, which is the world's largest investment firm, and now saying that they're about to see a recession unlike any other. There's a reason they come out and say stories and news like this, guys, and it's because they're trying to get the rest of the market to take some action. They're trying to cause a bigger sell-off towards the downside so they can get into a point where they're going to start to buy the market again. This news is not only going to be catastrophic for the stock market, but also for crypto. We could even see Bitcoin heading as low as 5k, and what that means for Ethereum is even more scary. The global economy has entered a period of volatility and previous investing approaches won't work anymore, BlackRock says. Recession is imminent, but the central banks won't be able to support markets, this time by loosening policies according to the money manager. In the past, they created inflation, they lowered interest rates, but right now they're ramping up interest rates. They can't create more inflation because it's already got to such a bad state. They're already on the ropes, guys, and this is potentially very, very scary. And before we jump across and look at Ethereum, let's jump across and look at Bitcoin. What we saw the other day was a push up into this zone, and obviously we've seen a sell-off. Now, we have seen a little bit of a recovery today, which is surprising. I think more than likely we're going to see a bit of sideways action through here, and then a continuation. Now, before you see a continuation like this, now I want you to pay attention, guys, to what happened to this area here. If you remember, everyone was kind of in the market thinking that we've broken through this level and we were going to continue and break out up here. And everyone's probably feeling that we're going to now start to push maybe back up into this area. But when we get a sort of a flatter area like this, wouldn't shock me if you see a quick poke up towards the upside and then continuation. If you get a wick like this one here, guys, that's a nice opportunity to get involved in a short. And you can see that on the daily, guys, you could have had a nice shorting opportunity, putting your stop loss above that wick, and by now you'd already be 1-to-1 in profit, 1.5 in profit, and potentially if you wanted to hold, I think realistically in the shorter term we're going to come down to this level, if not further. Now what you want to do, guys, is look at the weekly, because where we are right now isn't really far away from the bottom of this pattern. Realistically, I can't see it bouncing at this level anymore. I think we're going to see more of a painful push towards the downside, which means we then have to zoom out and think about where our next area of interest is. And unfortunately, it is probably into this zone here, with the top end of this sitting at around $12,500. You've got this area here, which was previous resistance here, so somewhere between 12,500 and 13,000, with the bottom of this pattern sat at 9,987. Now what that would mean for the Bitcoin at price, guys, would be a drop around 40%. Obviously, the smaller market cap coins, depending on kind of how big the market cap of those coins is, anything that's kind of outside of the top 10 could potentially lose like 50-60% if that happens. Now potentially, guys, you've got Bitcoin now eyeing up a drop not only into here, but potentially even further. And I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there with very fancy looking indicators who like to tell you that because of the cycle and how the cycle goes and everything is going to be different, there has been a big change in the world in the last few years that we haven't really seen since 2008. 2008 was when Bitcoin came around, so we haven't really seen go through an economic cycle like we're currently seeing. So it's kind of hard to predict exactly how low this could go, and if it does go lower, what might end up happening. The data that exists for crypto is not tons of years old. It's only like sort of 12 or so years. And if you were to look through the charts, and as you look through the charts, as it's actually been actively traded, it does repeat a couple of cycles, but a couple of cycles not really enough to kind of prove that it's going to continue to do this forevermore. Now, while Bitcoin does tend to lead the market for Ethereum having a smaller market cap would likely be punished, but despite the kind of bear market conditions, Ethereum's had a pretty phenomenal year. Ethereum showing huge potential going forward, which does mean that it does have longevity into the future, which I personally believe. Now, if we look at a weekly chart for Ethereum, I think if Bitcoin drops to around that sort of $12,000, realistically we wouldn't see a huge dump from Ethereum, but more than likely we would see Ethereum heading down to where we were back in June earlier on this year, which would be another push from current prices of 31%. You see that right now we've already fallen below highs that we saw back in 2018. This blue line here sits above previous resistance, and it's also the area that we came down to and perfectly touched before, sat at $873. So how can you make the most of an opportunity like that? Well, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll tell you guys, basically what we can do is you can create a limit order. What a limit order is, and this can be done on spot, so normal crypto trading, not leverage trading or anything like that. It can be done on spot, and what you can do is you can agree a price at which you're willing to pay for that. So for example, I might put in my buy position down on this blue line, and potentially if it gets down that far, then I've got the opportunity to shoot for 455%. However, if I'm impatient and I go in right now, then I can only make 300%. 300% is not an only, right? That's a lot of percents. The place in which you can do that, guys, is going through Fairdesk, which is linked down below in the description, because you'll get a bonus just for signing up. You don't need to go and invest anything right now. You can use the bonus and trade with that. And when you get to the opportunity at which you maybe want to buy something, you can put in those orders. What else you can do is, if you're inexperienced and you're unsure of trading, then you can get in and copy trade existing traders, which means you can follow experienced traders like myself and take gains when I make gains. Once you've set it up, you don't have to do anything, guys. You can follow traders with absolutely no work or effort on your part. Obviously, there is risk involved, so obviously don't use any money that you can't afford to lose. Make sure you go through that link in the description, guys. So guys, the world of crypto is suffering from a bit of doom and gloom right now. I understand what it feels like, and we are potentially going to see further slippage towards the downside. Realistically, when the markets are like this, they're not hugely predictable. We're searching for a bottom and not quite sure when that bottom is going to come, but that bottom will come, guys. That's what you have to know. And then when you get back into these markets again, life becomes significantly more predictable. So many patterns and things that form as people enter the market in bigger floods, bigger volumes, and the news, etc., will start to turn more positive. But in the shorter term, we're going to see a bit more pain and squeeze towards the downside, I think, and that could take us into early on in 2023, with the market starting to rally again in approximately 6 months or so time. But you can still day trade the market, guys. If you want to make the most of that opportunity, then get in my Telegram group down below. Hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.